In the last ABC News poll on the subject, 4 out of 5 Americans said they watch television news regularly. And we know from other studies that more people than not trust television as their major source of news. And that trust comes down so often to belief in a person, a face, a voice, man or woman, the anchor. Tom Jarrell, who's one of our 2020 correspondents, and who is also one of our ABC News Network anchors, is here tonight with a report on his counterparts on the local scene, the local anchor. Tom?
Hugh, in their city, market and TV lingo, the biggest TV stars by far, seen by more viewers than any other, more often than any other personalities, are the local news anchors. Their professional life is measured by audience ratings, box office if you will, which can produce big profits for their stations and big salaries for them. That's a formula that produces a deadly daily battle. It's 5:45 on a Wednesday afternoon. In 15 minutes, KSTP-TV, Channel 5 in Minneapolis will go on the air with its 6 o'clock Eyewitness News.
My cue.
It's also 15 minutes away from doing battle with its longtime arch rival across town, WCCO, Channel 4. And the prize in this war is not land or crown jewels. It's something even more valuable, ratings.
Tape 1 is the cordoned off stuff, and the bite is on tape 2.
In Minneapolis, the local newscast often commands more viewers than any primetime network show. That's more than Dallas, more than Little House on the Prairie, more than even 2020. Right now, KSTP overall holds a 1 rating point edge over WCCO. It's a slim lead, but it's worth almost $1 million a year in extra revenue, if KSTP can hang on to it.
Some tense hours in St. Louis Park this afternoon, and a woman has become an apparent murder victim. So it's just one more line.
So the anxiety you see on the faces of the producers, the reporters, the technicians, is caused not so much by the domestic murder that led the news that night, but by the contest to get the news out to you.
I'm going to give him a 10-second countdown.
And while the faces behind the camera may be somewhat strained,
10, 9,
the face that feels the tension the most is the one that can't afford to show it at all.
3.
The point man of these troops, the anchor man.
Good evening, everyone. The governor sent a letter to lawmakers
Of all the people in the news department, the people who are on the air are under more pressure than anybody else in the entire news department because so much attention is focused on what they do and their contribution personally. If the ratings go down, the first people you look at are the anchors.
And I'm fully cognizant that we're being judged on several different levels, some of which are non-journalistic.
They're doing a very specific job that involves cosmetics, choreography, and image building. And I think the few who actually want to serve as journalists tend to be very frustrated people.
The anchorman, who is he? Who is she? Well, one way of putting it is to say the anchorman is to television what newsprint is to your daily paper. They communicate the news directly to you. They do it by sitting on a set like this one and reading what a whole staff of people have written for them as it rolls in front of the lens through what has become the anchorman's best friend, the teleprompter. Just about every anchorman uses a prompter, which is why they appeared it on the news so well, they don't even need to look at their notes. But anchormen, of course, are not newsprint. The way television brings you the news is with a face that comes into your bedroom late at night and looks right at you. And so when it comes to drawing viewers, the anchor can become as important as the news itself, which is why anchoring local news today is big business, very big business.
Well, listen, don't sign anything longer than 3 years.
Her name is Shirley Barish, the den mother of a growing band of people who trade in what has come to be called newsflesh.
We will definitely get New York or L.A., I promise you.
From her office on Madison Avenue in New York City, Shirley looks at local news all day. Tapes sent to her by aspiring anchormen and anchorwomen from just about every crossroads town in America.
Good-looking guy.
If she likes what she sees, she'll use her grapevine of station executives and send the tape onto a station that she knows is ready to pay for a new anchor. If she doesn't, it can mean a local anchor who's hoping to move into big money in a big city will have a long wait.
Forget it. But I'm looking for that something special that makes one tape stand out from all the rest. He really is pretty. and that one's going to be the star. But that doesn't mean that all of these people aren't qualified broadcast journalists. I wouldn't handle them otherwise. Yeah, I think that hair is even natural. He is pretty.
What brings out the feeling of a star? You may say, this guy's got it.
A very, very professional delivery, a warmth, a charisma, which I can't explain at all.
Youth?
We are sort of a youth-oriented industry, not as much as we were 10 or 12 years ago.
Hair?
It's not bad to have hair. It's better to have hair than to be bald.
Eyes?
Eye contact is extremely important. But, you know, people can have all those things and not have it.
But how do you measure whether an anchorman has it? That's something people have been trying to do since the anchorman was born 20 years ago. This is the latest method. A commercial station in Spokane, Washington, is using a device called Tellback. The man who invented it, Tom Westbrook, here explains to a group of local townspeople how to use it.
The issue is, are you having a negative reaction to that person or a positive reaction to that person? Think of all the things that you want from a person who's on television.
Budget reductions have...
The station then receives a tape with its anchors and the competitors, ranked according to how well they're liked. And the characteristics of a well-liked anchor are the same in every city, and no wonder. Local television news looks the same no matter where you watch. For example, how many of you have an Eyewitness News in your hometown? Here in Minneapolis you do. You also have one in Chicago.
Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
And in Pittsburgh.
Eyewitness News.
In Orlando, Florida.
Eyewitness News.
In Boston.
Good evening. Here's what's happening.
In Cleveland.
First in Ohio.
And in more than 100 other cities in this country.
I refer to it as Burger King News. It's almost like having a franchise that you open up. Everybody has the snazzy open, the nice set, the attractive anchor people, and just plug in the name of the town and the name of the mayor, and you've got a newscast.
The so-called Eyewitness News look was all started by this man, Al Primo, when he was news director 13 years ago at WABC in New York. Primo is a news consultant now, a man concerned with both journalism and cosmetics.
Did he meet Ann yet?
Here he's talking to the news director of a Midwest station about the debut of a new anchor team.
How did they like each other the first time they saw each other?
He also understands how much a good performance by an anchor is worth.
This is a very high-stakes business. Millions of dollars changing hands. So an anchorman who started working for $20,000, $25,000 is now, the next time his contract's up, demanding to get $50,000 and $60,000 and $70,000 and sometimes $100,000, $200,000 and $300,000.
And sometimes even more than that. For example, anchoring the local news in New York City reportedly earns Dave Marish more than $300,000 a year. Gordon Peterson does the same thing in Washington for $370,000 a year, while the highest paid local anchor in the country does it in Los Angeles, Connie Chung, at a reported salary of $600,000 a year. But are they worth it?
I think they are. I think they are. I think that this is still a business where very few can succeed, and those special people who have that gift, in addition to all the reporting skills and all the good intentions, have that extra magic, are worth every nickel.
But the price a local station has to pay for an anchorman can often be more than just salary. For example, this is a meeting of the management of KSTP in Minneapolis. A problem under discussion here: how to manage the ego that goes with being a successful anchorman.
We looked at a potential weekend air talent and thought she was terrific, and even did market research, got a bunch of candidates together to test her. And her agent in New York prepared a laundry list of requests: big salary, car, coaching sessions with a New York drama coach, airline tickets for a relative to come to Minneapolis and visit her, American Express card, unaudited expense account, perk on top of perk on top of perk, things I don't have, things I don't even think the station manager has.
It is very difficult to deal with prima donnas who really don't love and care for their work, like the guy who was here before and left. Who was...
Quite frankly, the reality of our business is that we build a news program around the recognition factor of our anchors, their popularity, and when they're popular, they know it, they know when the ratings go up, and they have us over a barrel sometimes. And some of the more unscrupulous ones don't hesitate for a moment to play it for all it's worth.
And how was that one for you, okay?
That was fine.
Okay, do Roseanne and Storm this time.
And once an anchorman is picked and paid for, it's time for the hype. Time for the local station to promote its anchors, not as reporters, but as personalities. And so when WABC in New York wants a Christmas promotion,
Speed 27.
the anchors become the focus of an entire feature film crew, complete with snow machine. Hollywood comes to local news. So the promotion of local anchormen today is as slick as any Hollywood feature film. Anchors are now actors, sometimes even comedians, playing roles that portray them as warm personalities, people you'd like to invite into your home. They do all this to keep their ratings high. Because if the ratings fall, so too might the head you watch each night.
The network says the ratings are slipping and they're putting a lot of pressure on...
This is how Saturday Night Live showed it a few years ago, in a parody of an anchor woman whose ratings are slipping.
You see, I just assumed that it was responsible journalism you wanted, not sex. I gave you more credit than that. But I was wrong. What can I say besides, try these on for size, Connie Chung?
There is no topic of conversation more prevalent. Not the weather, not sports, not politics, not even sex. No topic more prevalent than ratings in a newsroom. Are they up? Are they down? Did they take an overnight? Unless it maybe is between anchors, how many minutes you were on camera versus how many minutes he or she was on camera. That's a very important consideration. I know anchor people whose wives sit there with stopwatches and then compare notes at the end of the cast.
And if the ratings are high, local anchors are easily the best-known people in town. This is Natalie Jacobson, co-anchor of the 6 and 11 o'clock news at the #1 station in Boston, WCVB Channel 5. Natalie's presence in all those living rooms at night is so strong that she not only reports the news, sometimes she is the news.
Natalie had her baby this morning. Little girl, Lindsay Dawn Curtis, 7 pounds, 15.5 ounces, 19 3/4 inches tall. The baby was delivered.
Some tapes were saved for me. I saw that the stations had led with this news, and I was quite taken back by that. I understand that every radio station in Boston led with it throughout the day and night. Well, it sometimes makes me cry. People feel so strongly about us. I'm sorry.
You're like a member of their family.
Well, they write us such warm letters, send gifts to the baby, things people made that spent hours making, and that's hard to deal with. It makes the responsibility I feel to my audience all the greater, and I'm not sure that I can always live up to that, you know?
Well, if success for a local anchor means touching the audience, she has the secret there.
Indeed.
Yeah. Were you ever a local anchor, Tom?
Briefly in the 60s, you in Houston, Texas on Channel 2, and our chief competition across town on Channel 11 was a young tiger named Dan Rather.
Oh, really? Thank you, Tom. Dreams of flying, of falling, of sex. What do they mean? What are you hiding or revealing? Well, we'll look at dreams